Now, allow me to tell you guys of how I was trying to get this game. It's a short but pretty funny story. So it involves with the lovely Amazon. They've been, pleasing online shoppers for the most part, especially during this pandemic situation. So I thought, hey, Last of Us, it was something I bought back on the PS3 on physical, right? Especially during that time, digital games weren't really popular at the time, such and such. So I thought, hey, I should get this game on physical because it's a single player game. There's not going to be any multiplayer, so I don't have to fire up right away. So hey, I thought I'd get this on physical. I haven't done it in a long time, so hey, why not with this game, right? Something I've been anticipating, looking forward to playing and stuff like that. And so I ordered it on Amazon, or pre-ordered rather. Then right around the release window, the product ships, right? And I've been keeping track on the package through the package tracker, right? Especially during the situation of pandemic, so there might have been some sort of slowdown or delay, which kind of happened with the Final Fantasy VII Remake copies, right? And so I kind of wanted to monitor it, and lo and behold, something happened to my copy. According to the tracker, it was minor damage, and as soon as I saw that, something was telling me that this game wasn't going to be in my hands. And so lo and behold, the game didn't arrive at all. It turned around and said, you're gonna get your refund and stuff like that. So I still wanted to play the game, so had to resort to some other methods. But alas, I was able to get my hands on a physical copy thanks to my local Target. Thanks, Target! But this game though, oh boy, do I have some things to say about it. Let's get to it.
So The Last of Us Part 2 is indeed the direct sequel to the mega cinematic action-adventure game back on the PlayStation 3, originally featuring the blossoming relationship between Joel and Ellie, an unlikely pair that crossed paths in the post-apocalyptic world featuring mushroom zombies. I personally thought it was a decent game with a very enjoyable story attached to it, leaving off on a very juicy cliffhanger with Joel lying to Ellie about what happened with the Fireflies as he actually killed all of them in the name of saving Ellie. The first game received a lot of awards and commemorations from the community, and I don't blame the people who think this is one of the greatest PlayStation 3 games of all time. After waiting about 7 years, after all the promotions, crunch time, delays, and some nasty gaming drama across the internet as it was spoiler leaked, and the fans exploded with much anger and outrage, not to mention all the DMCA strikes, takedowns, you name it, on YouTube that came from Naughty Dogs themselves. I mean, it was a complete garbage fire leading all the way up to its launch.
I, for one, did not read any of the spoilers that were on the internet, so I was able to play the game with a very fresh mind, blank, going in, and all that fun stuff. And so I was very much looking forward to this because it had so much set up from the first game with Joel and Ellie with that very, very juicy cliffhanger. There was so much set up for Joel and Ellie, this could have gone multiple routes with the storytelling. However, after playing this 6 days straight, streaming and playing, and beating this game after 25 hours of playing, approximately, more or less, and playing it on moderate difficulty, my personal verdict has finally been realized. Last of Us Part 2, overall, left me absolutely disappointed. And for the people who, also play this game, I completely understand for them for being so infuriated with the game. But with that said, let's talk about the game itself first.
The technical aspects of the game are undeniably phenomenal as one of the last hurrahs for the 8th gaming generation, despite looking quite different from the E3 2018 demo. The graphics are mostly gorgeous. Now with that said, there were moments of dated looks because of the reveal of the PlayStation 5 games already setting some early visual standards for me. But of course, as a PS4 game, beautiful, especially during the bright sunny days. I will also say that the dark parts were good in its own right, particularly with the water effects. They were just really good to look at. Something about them, it was like pretty magnetizing to like you kind of can't take your eyes off for like a good couple of seconds. The animations were well done and the graphics really bring out the details of the gore, which enhances the combat experience. Naturally, with its great graphics, the in-game cinematic cutscenes further shines its visual experience. The game flawlessly transitions from gameplay to cutscene and the other way around. Not to mention the audio side of things were also astounding. The music and ambiance, of course, set the moods just right, and the voice acting were just well done with the given material, of course. It was welcoming to have Laura Bailey to be casted in the Last of Us game, as the rest of the beloved cast has made a return, such as Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker reprising their respective roles. During combat, you can hear all the death rattle, gurgling sounds from your victims. I highly recommend to play the game with a good pair of headphones so you can definitely hear every bit of sound for that immersive experience. Also worth noting that the enemies actually yell out each other's names, especially if one of them dies, which is actually a nice little touch. I felt like people kind of touched upon it, whether they liked it or not. I think personally for me, that was a nice touch. It just kind of adds more to the dramatics during each combat sequence.
Speaking of the combat here, or generally speaking, the gameplay, this is where the cracks start to show in this AAA armor here.
While the gameplay as a whole is just fine, that's kind of the problem. It's only fine. They do nothing new here, really, other than just some tweaking and such. One of the biggest and noticeable additions to the combat is the proning feature, as you can hide in taller grass to camouflage yourself from enemies or just stay out of enemy sight. And also mobility options such as vaulting over obstacles, making it more of a mobile experience. Additional points include more opportunities to explore to find more materials and resources, and of course, those little collectibles. Speaking of which, this is more of a collectathon than ever. You can collect random stuff such as trading cards and coins. What's more interesting though are the notes you pick up that feature tragic stories of people within this post-apocalyptic world. Sometimes these notes contain hints or answers to certain puzzles, such as the combination safes, which contain more goodies. You can also collect magazines to unlock new skill trees, which does access to more combat options, which kind of reminds me of Fallout. You can upgrade your character and weapons throughout the game just like its predecessor.
Now, allow me to spoil things in this non-spoiler section, and don't worry, it's relatively minor at this point. Yes, you get to play Abby at some point within the game besides Ellie. And admittedly, Abby's side of the gameplay is actually more engaging of the two. As Abby, you felt like a shipwreck house. As you fist fight your way through the enemies or whatever you have in your hand, it's just so satisfying to just crush those enemies with your fists. And she even gets a pretty cool gameplay mechanic, which is like this rage momentum mechanic sort of thing. Basically, it allows you to kill the enemy and still carry on that insta-kill sort of momentum for the next enemy. So in a way, you can just kill in a way, especially once you upgrade that ability. That part is really cool from Abby, and she even gets a really cool boss fight as you fight the Rat King.
I would like to praise the balance of human and infected enemies. There's a nice variety there, although they threw in the guard dogs in the fray. It was also nice to see some new creature designs such as the Shambler. The boss battles, however, were overall lacking whenever they happen, although with the exception of the Rat King that I really liked in terms of combat experience, as mentioned before. In fact, infected segments were more significant experiences as they filled that nice horror-esque atmosphere into the air.
Oh! Oh no! Oh shit, 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 oh shit.
Throughout the experience, there were some jump scares that kinda got to me. There are new factions to face, which has some clear distinctions between each other, such as the Seraphites having tanky hammer units, and WLF had guard dogs, but overall they kind of all act the same. But allow me to say that I do appreciate at least that the AI functions when it comes to the enemy side of things for the most part, but the partner AI, that's kind of a different story, unless you adjust some certain settings, which will lead to my next point. Another gameplay feature that I must mention in approval are the combat accessibility features and such. They actually took the time to cater towards the disabled gamers, which is pretty rare in a lot of video games. Likewise, you can actually customize your difficulty settings such as the enemy AI, ally aggression, the amount of resources throughout the game, and other alternative options. It's pretty cool, I must say. I kind of wish other games took note of this practice to make it more of like a customized experience, so it can kind of vary it up a bit. You can add some spice to it. You know, variety is the spice of life. There were some cool bits like the guitar sections, which actually allow for players to be quite creative with it. That should have been in its own mode after beating the game, in my opinion. The level designs were mediocre at best. While beautiful to look at, some of the locations felt same or reused from the first game. I don't know, that's just from my perspective anyway. At least in terms of visual direction, such as the lighting, there was variety there. There were both daytime and dark levels to really balance things out. The puzzles, quote unquote, were immediately satisfying when I solved them, although in the grand scheme of things, they were pretty simple.
Yep. Yes. I am so smart. I am so smart. SMRT, I mean SMART.
Yeah, I had a number of those moments.
So in layman's terms, they played it safe overall and didn't add anything deliberately new here.
Yeah, that's a really good question actually. Why isn't this a two-player co-op thing? That would have been so cool.
If you're looking for something even remotely innovative here, you'd be disappointed. One of the features they should have considered is using the environment as your weapon, at least to some limited degree. Look, if you're out surviving in the zombie apocalypse or anything of that sort, and you have pretty much nothing on you for self-defense, you either one, run, which the game doesn't allow you to, or you use whatever is around the environment. For example, in the forest level, you should be able to pull back a tree branch, let go, and then whiplash at the enemy to stun them or whatever. Ram the enemy through glass windows, you kind of get the point. More interactive environments would have been really nice here. With that in mind, you can potentially balance these with the weapons for a more thrilling experience in comparison from the first game. You can only have so much fun with the same old cover and shoot or stealth sections. I wouldn't blame anyone who would call it mundane gameplay, especially during the sections where you just walk around and look for stuff. I also wish for a couple of new weapons, perhaps a chainsaw from a Home Depot store of sorts or a tool shed. You even pick up a certain gun, but you can only pick it up by the end of the game and use it only in that area. That's it. That's all there is to it. Nowhere else. Not to mention, I don't think there were a whole lot of new kill animations here, with the exception of very specific kill animations under certain conditions.
If you like a collectathon with combat thrown in there, this is something possibly for you. Once the price goes down, that is. As mentioned throughout this review, this is a AAA title, but even with that AAA armor, there are some bugs and glitches that I found from other players, but even I found some pretty bad ones myself.
Man, the city's still filled with supplies.
Whoa. 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 Whoa there. What? Hey, Naughty Dog, you may want to fix this. Hey, your arm's a little weird. Whoa! Oh, God. Oh, boy. Yeah, this is totally normal, right? Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Oh, my hand! Dude, my gun! My gun! My arm is incapacitated. Oh! 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 I want stability on this revolver. Yo, the fuck, man? My immersion. Oh, oh. Where her gun at? Yeah, like the way I can't even like point my rifles and stuff. Look. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. This shit is just... Here, you want this rifle, dude? You want this rifle, man? You want this shotgun too? Here. Oh, this is at the right hand. Looks like he's about to do an energy blast. Yeah, for some reason her arm is like permanently stuck on this one cabinet door I opened, and it's just forever pointing at it. It was a wonderful time with this twisting arm. I don't know how I do it, but sometimes I find these glitches. I should be a QA person, right? Quality assurance, tester.
The polish on his armor has quite a bit of hazy spots, if you know what I'm saying here. But then, here comes the biggest crack on his AAA armor of them all. The story.
As said before, the first game sets up so much for our protagonists, Joel and Ellie, especially with Joel's final actions, but with part 2, it just literally spits on all of that. Before I get to the spoiler talk of things, what makes this story so bad and weak comparing to its predecessor is that they purposefully left out very important details of the story for the sake of contriving this weak-ass dark revenge plot that they wanted to really shock the audience with. But it just went so bad for the fans as they expressed their anger for the story. It just left this really sour, bitter taste in my mouth, leaving me upset throughout most of the game.
Now, to make things clear, there's absolutely nothing wrong with dark stories. I love my dark stories to balance out the more commonly found lighthearted stories, to really help balance things out, because variety is a spice of life indeed. A good one at that. What's actually wrong here are bad stories. And it's really sad to say, but this is a bad fucking story. They kept pushing this stupid message of, oh, violence is bad, oh, revenge is terrible, oh, revenge leaves you lonely, there's gonna be a cycle of violence if you keep doing revenge, blah, 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 blah. I get it! Yes, violence is terrible, I get it. Stop kicking the balls, it hurts, yes. Getting kicked in the balls, it hurts. But they keep doing that throughout the whole game. That's what this story does. It does that the entire game. Quit shoving it in my face!
When it came to the new characters such as Dina and Jesse, they didn't really have enough time for us to connect with, and they all kind of just act like snarky, cynical, and sarcastic toward Ellie and sort of vice versa. I wanted to like them further, but the game really didn't allow me to, it seems like. They also inserted these plot devices throughout the game in an attempt to make you feel bad. Just like its dark themes, quote unquote, it just comes off as fake and artificial. Now, there are some good things from the story, such as the storyline with Yara and Lev from the Seraphites. I just wish there was more backstory from the factions you come across. Something worth noting is that Owen was the only decent human being, for the most part, from Abby's side. And to make things clear, I had no problem with the quote-unquote political stuff or political agenda that was in this game. The narrative and the lack of important consistency was in absolute disarray, leaving the pacing in complete shambles. Those were the real problems. There were flashbacks upon flashbacks and scenes that could have been reorganized to make it a lot smoother for us to comprehend. And I have to throw this in here too. There were just characters written in such a way that they wouldn't act like this from the first game, and yet they were written this way just for the sake of maintaining its quote-unquote dark themes.
And then there were the sex scenes. Not one, but two. Two sex scenes in a video game like this. The Last of Us of all things. I did not even expect myself or set myself to see that. Now one of them was whatever, okay, but the other one was super graphic, and I was quite surprised at myself and all the other streamers who had to sit through that cutscene. It was just so gross, unnecessarily gross and cringy at that. And I was like, well, fuck it. My channel might get flagged or taken down on Twitch, but no, surprisingly.
Okay. Wow.
And so after thinking about that, it makes me really question with Sony's censorship policies. On one hand, it's not okay to have these, these breasts and cleavages being almost shown off, or just skin in general being shown off with like these revealing outfits or bikinis or whatever. You can't have, girls on the beach or whatever. But meanwhile, you can have this graphic sex scene that just So it makes me really question those policies, and perhaps I'll make a separate video on this entire subject itself. But anyways, I digress here. Now ironically, the best parts of the story were the flashbacks. What do you know? Because they had Joel and Ellie at their best. They basically were showing the best parts of the Last of Us, and those were the most enjoyable things from the story itself.
Gallimimus's name means chicken mimic. Who names these?
Scientists.
Well, they're dumb.
I wish that was somehow carried over with this game. With all the times you spent with Jesse and Dina and stuff like that. That it just didn't happen. That energy sort of translated over to Abby and her friends, I guess, right? Because of the nature of the storytelling and narrative being messy as all hell, there should have been two story modes. One with Ellie and one with Abby. We're now at the point where I'm going to go super spoiler mode so I can actually, start expressing more of my points on how I feel with the story. So I have to urge you guys to skip to this timestamp here so that you can avoid all that stuff and get to my conclusion of things. As said before, there was so much set up for Joel here, as the first game set up multiple routes for the storytelling between Joel and Ellie. They could have just literally explored between Joel and Ellie's strain with each other because of what Joel did with the Fireflies. But no! You barely play as Joel for 5 minutes, and then, of all things, right after a sex scene of all things, Joel fucking dies after 2 hours of playing the game. 2 hours? 2 fucking hours?!
Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
Oh, what? No way. Oh.
All clear?
He's out. Put him against the wall.
Oh, fuck. Oh. No. 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 No.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up.
No way.
Please stop.
Oh.
Joel, please get up.
Oh my. No way. Oh. Oh my god, dude. Wow. No fucking wonder.
Joel, one of the most beloved video game characters within the PlayStation 3 era, with so much gratifying storytelling resting on his shoulders, gets whacked. He gets whacked with a golf club. On top of that, he gets kneecapped with a shotgun, and then gets whacked by someone you barely fucking know, a character who just came out of nowhere, who wanted to raid the fucking community, the Jackson community, and just gets whacked by a random character. Just like that. We waited 7 fucking years just to see that. All for what? Just for shock value? Shock value. That's how you write out your fucking stories if you don't know what to do. Shock value. That's like the cheapest way out. It was a huge cop-out for this fucking sequel here. This sort of shock narrative is similar to that of John Connor from Dark Fate, and also, some of the characters that died in the Star Wars sequel trilogy just for the sake of drama and shock and oohs and ahs and stuff. We didn't even get to see a freaking funeral for Joel. No, nothing for any emotional sort of anchor to kind of keep us down from being just emotionally shocked after that cutscene and trying to take in the fact that Joel is just gone. No, nothing. We just get a jump cut and that's it. Joel dying in this fashion, this early, was a big problem for me. At least during my first early impressions here. But later on, an even bigger problem presented itself with the storytelling. See, Joel's death was something I saw coming, and also, a lot of people were seeing. We expected for Joel to pay his consequences for what he did with the Fireflies at the end of the game, just for the sake of saving Ellie. But Joel dying like this? No, it should not have happened like this. Not like this, man. May I present you the elephant in this room here when it comes to bad storytelling. This scene really says it all, for me anyway, featuring Marlene and Abby's father, Jerry, the top fucking doctor in the Fireflies.
It's intertwined with the brain. There's no other option.
There has to be some other way.
There's no way to remove the specimen without destroying the host.
The host. She's a child, not some petri dish.
You think I don't... I'm aware of the situation.
And you're okay with killing her?
No, I'm okay with developing a vaccine that'll help save millions of lives. How many Fireflies have died for less?
That was their choice. Are you asking me? Or are you telling me this is how it's gonna be?
I am begging you to buy in.
And what if this was Abby?
Look, everything that we've been fighting for, all the sacrifices, all of the horrific... all of that is justified with this one act.
If this was your daughter, what would you do?
Abby.
I'll buy you some dinner.
Thank you, sweetheart. Look, Marlene.
Do it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go tell Joel.
Why?
He traveled across the country with her. He has a right to know. Good luck with your surgery. You're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If it was me, I'd want you to do the surgery.
this scene, I think it's really important because not only it reaffirms Joel's reasoning to save Ellie, but it also confirms the fact that Abby knew why Joel did it. It's supposed to anyway, because Abby overheard her fucking father saying about all the sacrifices made just to trying to make the cure unsuccessfully. So it just killed everyone in the process that, you know, probably volunteered, or we don't know. We don't even know if this still is the key to cure the infection or to create the vaccine for the infection. We don't know that, and that's what makes this really important here. Well, but you know, with Ellie being a success, or if it was a success, Jerry's just like, oh, but now all the other deaths are worth it. It all leads up to this. But you know, all these people dying, yeah, sure, but with Ellie being the key to success, it all makes this worth it, right? That's not how it works, Jerry. People's lives are precious. I believe even Ellie's mother had something against Jerry here. She did not like Jerry at all, according to one of the notes that was possibly picked up, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. But anyways, as Marlene said, they're not lab rats. They're people. They are people. And yet Jerry just acts like this whole thing is like, you know, Marlene should invest in it. It's like a video game. You have to invest in this video game so it can be made so that it can make millions of dollars. But that's the thing here with video games. We don't know if that video game is going to make millions, but hey, if you don't make that investment, it's not going to happen. Oh, but with here, Jerry can pull the guild card. Oh, but you know, if you don't make this gamble here, if you don't buy in, you're not saving people, so that makes you the bad guy, right? That's pretty much what he's sort of implying here, so he can sleep better at night, even with the fact that he had other patients killed in the name of science here. And even if the vaccine were to be successfully found thanks to Ellie's sacrifice, it would have been like a tyrannical fucking fuckfest, because, you know, people are gonna try to, you know, find some sort of control to control all the supply of the vaccine, to, you know, so that they can cure all the other people and stuff like that. That will you know, drive a fucking war. I mean, that does sound like an interesting story itself, in an alternate, you know, sort of take, or like a comic book or something. But I digress. Jerry was doing this all for science. He just wanted the glory. He wanted to succeed in the name of science. And furthermore, Abby knows it. Abby even said she's willing to sacrifice herself to see if the cure can happen. So she has to have known. So that really cements her being a really, really shitty character, or villain, or whatever, because technically everyone's a fucking villain, whatever, if you want to be super technical and all that stuff. But anyways, it was a shitty gamble, and Joel knew that, and that's why Joel was not willing to lose Ellie over that. Ellie was too precious for him. She's like a daughter to him, and we don't know what happened to Joel. We all know what his backstory is. He lost his daughter. He took it really bad, and he just absolutely was miserable over the years, and Ellie was his light. And that's why Joel did not want to lose Ellie over a shitty gamble like this. That's what made Joel so compelling as a character. He even said that if God gave him a second chance, he would do it all over again. In other words, he has no regrets over the actions he pulled against the Fireflies. So overall, killing Joel here wasn't the issue here, but the issue at hand is how Joel was killed, how it was all done, how it was executed. That is where the shitty writing becomes blatant. Ironically, myself and one of my frequent viewers and followers, who's been really appreciative and supportive, you know, of my work over the years, Lady Draco, I must give credit to her for helping me kind of remind me of, you know, the really important bits of the lore. We together were able to dissect the story way better than Jerry could have with the immune patients. So as I said before, Abby just really looks bad here with all the bad storytelling, as I mentioned so far. It just paints her again as a really shitty character, And on top of that, they were really trying to pull all the stops here with the sympathy cards and all the guilty cards too with Abby. They were pulling all the stops in an attempt to, you know, make you guys feel, you know, feel sorry for this character. But it just couldn't happen. It just couldn't. All the stuff that they pulled felt so fucking cheap, especially with in the beginning with Abby being young. And then her dad trying to rescue the zebra, like, oh, look at this zebra. Oh, look at Jerry trying to free the zebra. Especially, you know, this zebra being a mother to this, you know, little one or whatever that was just born not too long ago or whatever. Oh man, I'm supposed to feel sorry and sympathetic towards these two at least, especially with Abby because Jerry dies at Joel's hands later on, and he deserved it, in my opinion. And not to mention with the guilty cards, they pull the pregnancy card like more times than they should have. You know, especially with Mel. First off, why is Mel out with this baby bump that is like what 8 months big or whatever? Like, what makes you in the right mind give you the right, or makes you think gives you the right to go out there and do your soldier-like duties? Like, dude. You're supposed to be in labor so you can, you know, wait for the baby to be born and whatever so you can do your motherly duties. But no, instead you try to do a soldier's duty with that baby bump. It just makes no sense. And then like the way she, you know, climbs up all this stuff, it's crushing her baby. Like, holy shit, it makes no sense. That part infuriates me. No, not the big fucking gym that Abby was able to have access to in the football arena, and all the whey protein in the world is actually, I guess, apparently in that arena or whatever, which is how she got all fucking built and shit. No, that's whatever, fine with me, even though that doesn't make sense to me anyway, in a post-apocalyptic world. No, Mel being that pregnant at that point, she shouldn't be being out. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't just fit right with the story, but yet they just try to have all these characters in Abby's story to try to make you feel fucking guilty or sympathetic, so they can paint Abby more of a good guy and maybe Ellie and the others as bad guys. Like, holy shit, how can you have the audacity to pull all these stunts when the first game is all about Ellie and fucking Joel? And another thing when it comes to guilty cards or whatever, they pull the whole dog thing just way too much. The way they use dogs here, come on, man, it's just so fucking pathetic and cheap. Fucking cheap. They just shove all that towards Abby's side. And meanwhile, oh, you know, you know, with Abby throwing the fucking toy and stuff like that with Alice, and you start to feel for Alice too, and then, oh, but you know, Abby can play with Alice, and Alex likes Abby, and all the other gang from Abby's side or whatever. And then you have that moment with fucking Yara and Lev, and then as Ellie, her side of a gameplay, you've grown to be annoyed by dogs because they are really, really annoying as enemies. They track your steps or whatever, and they fucking bark, and your stealth is like just gone. You can't do any stealth because these dogs tracking you down. So naturally, you have to kill these dogs. So it just paints Ellie further as a bad guy, or they try to make Ellie more like a bad guy, and then Abby being more of a good guy, or at least feel more sympathetic as to why she killed Joel in the fucking first place. God! Especially on that part with Ellie, you know, being ambushed by Alice, but you don't even know it was Alice because you play Ellie's side first, so you're just like, oh, she's attacking me, and I have no choice but to fucking stab this dog instead of knocking her out or whatever. You don't even have a choice. You just stab the shit out of the dog, and you just push her off the side like she's nothing. But later on, with Abby's side of the story, oh, but you find out it's Alice. No, it's Alice. Oh, no, why, Ellie? Why'd you do that to Alice like that? God, it just makes the shitty writing that much more blatant. They really tried to push Abby so hard to make her look like a good guy. And it, like, pretty much kind of like what Mel said to Abby with Yara and Lev.
Owen invited them to come to Santa Barbara. That is very Owen. I figured you'd have talked him out of going by now. Actually, I'm going with them. But not if you come. What? He may fall for your little act with these kids, but I don't.
There's nothing to fall for.
Isaac's top scar killer suddenly had a change of heart? Nothing to do with Owen, right?
I haven't always done the right thing.
You're a piece of shit, Abby. You always have been.
But except that it's not just Yara and Lev trying to, I tried to save them to make myself look good. No, it's the whole thing with the dogs, the pregnancy thing, and then her friends just doing all the dialogue shit. Like I have to admit, the dialogue stuff is more interesting between Abby and her friends versus Ellie and her friends, sadly. But I've never seen so many guilt cards being pulled in a video game like this, in such a cheap fashion too. All just to look Abby look good. All just to make Abby, be felt with sympathy here from the players, just because they pull off the whole thing with Abby and Joel early on in the fucking game.
I must also bring up that part 2 almost feels so disconnected from the first game. Ellie is just completely dark with no trace of the Ellie that we knew and loved, because they wanted to keep that dark mood. Pretty much as I said before, characters just didn't act like themselves from the first game, or you would think they would act differently, but they were just written for the sake of drama and such. Tommy, from the beginning of the game of part 2, didn't want Ellie to go out and try to avenge Joel. Ellie still had a life ahead of her, so that's why Tommy went ahead and tried to do the vengeance himself. And yet, by the end of the game, he's just completely 180 and is just completely out of character for Tommy.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't talk me out of this.
I'm sorry.
Well, I can't go. Reckon it's easy. Forget about her. You sitting all comfy way out here?
Hey,
I'll make her pay.
Tommy.
That's what you said when we got back to Jackson.
Tommy.
What a joke.
In addition to more on the bad writing, there were 2 chances where Joel could have told Ellie about what happened to the other immune patients. Yeah, what Jerry did to them? No. Joel knew about that, assumingly through Marlene. Joel could have told Ellie at least 2 times. There were 2 instances where he could have told her, but it just never happened. It never fucking happened. It really cements further with this shitty writing here. But one could say, oh, but Ellie wouldn't have believed Joel. That's just what Joel wanted Ellie to believe. Okay, fine, that's a possibility, sure. But at least try. At least put it out there. So now, Ellie could possibly be in a conflict with her own subconscious or whatever, that, hey, was Joel telling me the truth or not? That creates a possible interesting self-confliction later on throughout the story, until someone like Abby can tell her that yes, Joel knew about the immune patients and what happened to them, and oh yeah, by the way, my father killed all the other patients trying to get the cure out of them or whatever. That could have happened. That could have been a possibility with this story. But no, those details were purposely left out so that they can just drive this really just cheap and bad revenge plot. All just for the sake of fucking shock drama, all, in the name of art, and it's expressive, and it's dark, and ugh. The writers had the audacity, including Neil Druckmann, turn Joel into this cheap-ass fucking revenge plot device. Now, of course, let's just make this clear. Joel is absolutely not a fucking saint. He's not your average protagonist or hero. He's not even a hero at all, in fact. He's more like an anti-hero. An anti-hero that players grow to sympathize because of the relationship between Joel and fucking Ellie. Joel saw his own daughter in Ellie, and Ellie was the light to his darkness, because he was just gloomy and miserable as fuck. He was an asshole too. He was like super untrustworthy or untrusting towards other people because of all the events that took place after his daughter was killed, and he kind of just sees the world as this really dark place or whatever. And I guess he eventually partnered up with Tess, and she was like one of his only friends, I guess, but along with his brother Tommy. And but Ellie brought in the light, and Joel started to lighten up and really like her, and the two really bond together, and they saw each other as like family. And that's what made that whole fucking game so compelling with its story in the first place. Even with the average ass fucking gameplay. The story itself, what really made Last of Us so impressionable. It left such a strong impression. It was that much more distinctive. And Neil Druckmann and the others knew that. They have to have known that. And they have to have known how much Joel was beloved. So much of these trailers pretty much lied of how much Joel was involved with this story here. They knew of how much we loved Joel and how much we were looking forward to Joel after all these years of waiting.
What the hell are you doing here?
I think I'd let you do this on your own.
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
Jesse.
Where's Dina?
They fucking knew. They fucking knew, and it was such a transparent lie that people actually were able to get full refunds with, I don't know if it was with the digital copy or the physical game, but they were getting refunds because it's just absolutely false advertising. Plus, a number of characters just die off like such cheap deaths just so they can continuously shove the whole revenge is bad or revenge leaves you lonely and stuff like that. Man, it's like, okay, like, oh, well, no shit, we get it. Okay, like I said, stop kicking me in the balls. Stop it. Stop it, man. Like, God, poor Jesse, man. For example, he's just one example. Jesse was just one of those cheap deaths, unfortunately. Even Manny from Abby's side, who was a prominent figure for Abby, he gets a pretty cheap death, and it just, oh, that's it. And they were barely mentioned after that. That's how cheap their deaths were. That's how they were just there for the sake of, oh, revenge is bad, violence is bad, revenge leaves you lonely, blah, 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 blah. Fuck! I have to say this again, but they just could have just gone with the strained relationship between Ellie and Joel, especially after what Joel did with the Fireflies. And especially with, people like Marlene, who was, just as innocent or whatever. And then Joel could have met his consequences in the middle or at the end. For fucking fuck's sake, they could have made Joel into a villain. That could have been way more interesting too. Potentially, of course, if done right. But nonetheless, it could have been. Many things could have been more interesting than this whole artificially fucking stupid dark plot. And alternatively, Abby could have found out about her father, what he did through like, I don't know, some sort of voice recorder or audio tape of sorts. Abby could have found out and have some sort of really interesting revelation and been like, oh shit, I fucked up. And so, it could have been really interesting to, try have her, have a way to like apologize or try to earn her forgiveness from Ellie and possibly Joel if he was still alive at the time or whatever, or just badly hurt, whatever. That could have gone so many ways. Again, there could have been more possibilities other than this stupid fucking story, dude, that was given to us in this game. As I said before, the narrative was just an absolute fucking mess. There were things that felt like they were out of order. This could have been told here at this point of the story, or you know, Abby attacking Joel could have been in the middle of the story or whatever. And they were like just on top of the flashbacks, on top of the flashbacks, and you just don't know when this was happening with this cutscene, or and just the fact that they just attempted to try to have you play Abby just right in the middle of the fucking game, and then they try to, like, you know, pull the whole crossroads meeting thing, that sort of storytelling, but it just wound up being messy. And then you just wanted to find out what's going to happen with Ellie next, but no, you have to, you know, go through Abby's backstory just so you can go through all the sympathy cards and the guilt cards or whatever, just so you can feel sorry for Abby. Well, that's what they intended for, but it just all just didn't work because it was messy, it felt cheap, felt artificial, just absolute garbage overall. What needed to happen, what absolutely needed to happen, was 2 story modes for each character. One for Ellie and one for Abby. And of course, they could recommend Abby's first, because, you know, you have to know the character in order to feel that, you know, Joel's death, or Joel's assassination attempt, I guess you can say, feel more validated.
Throughout the game, she's constantly searching, constantly looking for clues, looking for answers from people. That could have been a really cool sort of adventure itself with Abby. Now, and then now, in the process, you can actually grow to care for Abby, kind of get to know Abby better through her backstory and just things you can pick up on her throughout the game, or throughout her section of the game in the beginning. That could have been a really good way to introduce Abby. You kind of been wondering who she is, and you kind of get to like her a little bit, and then the plot twist, boom, she's been looking for Joel the entire time and tries to attempt to kill Joel, or succeeds in killing Joel by bashing his head in with whatever.
Abby's could have been all about the revenge plot that they want to write, and then of course we want to see the Joel and Ellie relationship being strained, you know what I mean? That Ellie story could have been that part. That's the part we were all waiting for 7 years. But, you know, you can throw in Abby's story for the new stuff to keep it a little fresh that way. That could have been, if done right, been way better than what we've been presented here. But no! By the end of the game, Ellie is just left all alone. Meanwhile, Abby and Lev were together again, so they were the ones to have the relatively happy ending. But no, Ellie just loses everything pretty much. Tommy has left her, and Dina even left her too. And Dina just suddenly gives her an ultimatum between herself and Abby. Like, what the fuck did that come from? Dina was almost killed by Abby herself, just bashing her fucking head, and then Ellie had to be like, oh wait, but she's pregnant. Don't fucking kill her. Abby's just like, good. and then Lev had to fucking intervene and all that shit. I'm pretty sure, you know, Gina could have subconsciously heard that, and you know, and then she could have had this like PTSD sort of moment too with Ellie. Ellie had her moment in the barn, and then Dina was there to comfort her, and then right when Dina, you know, tried to give the ultimatum, she has the PTSD moment with Abby trying to, you know, kill her by bashing her head and then fucking slit her throat almost. And that could have been the moment where Dina's like, okay, maybe you need to face her, face your demons, and I'll be waiting here. That way, you know, you try to confront Abby whether you kill her or not. Maybe make peace, you know, possibly, or kill her. It could have gone either way, but that, you know, that could have been something that would make more sense in my opinion. But it's just, oh man, I don't know. It's just, I at that point I just felt apathetic as to how the game ended. I was just like, whatever, man. whatever. At this point, this whole story was so shitty that I just felt super apathetic by the end of the fucking story.
One last thing I must add to really show that the writing is really bad, the story altogether is bad, is that, like I said, they've been really trying to shove the theme of revenge sucks, revenge is bad, violence is bad, revenge leaves you alone, and yet Ellie loses everything, and yet Abby, who's the one to get the revenge. She kills Joel, she gains a friend by the end of things, you know, Lev and Abby pretty much become the new Joel and new Ellie in a way, so it makes no sense as for the revenge is bad, that sort of thing. It's like, pick a freaking side. Is it bad? Is it good? I don't know. If revenge is really bad, why did it turn out for Abby this way? That's something to think about here.
Bottom line here, this story sucks.
Ooh. Hell yeah. Oh. Oh man, he might destroy like Marvel's Capcom 2, Metal Slug, Sam Show, Mortal Kombat.
So ultimately, Last of Us Part 2 deserves from me a 6 out of 10. This game just absolutely, from start to end, made me felt upset. As soon as that scene happened, I felt upset throughout the entire game because they wanted to pull that off that early in the game. And the decent gameplay, while it was fun while it lasted, it definitely just cannot make up for the long and awaited, anticipated story that it all, you know, kind of crashed down in this game here. It just could not make up for it. It was just so fucking awful that it just really makes this game the most disappointing game of 2020 by fucking far. Now, with all that said, I don't agree with the whole review bombing. I don't agree with the whole petition thing and all the other just crazy stuff that people are willing to do just to so say, I hate this fucking game. Now, it's not, you know, certainly a bad game. It's just so disappointing with all the waiting that we've done, all the anticipation that we've had, and all the hype that we've built up for ourselves and expectations for a game like this. On the contrary though, I am left with wonder as to why certain people and other, you know, gaming journalists, sort of news outlets want to give this game an absolute 10 out of 10 besides being paid. But the people who aren't being paid and give this game at a 10 out of 10, I wonder why. I'm just curious. But don't feel absolutely ashamed. No. That's not what I'm trying to get across here. Do not feel ashamed if you guys feel that you love the game. That is completely your opinion. And I you know, will absolutely respect that. You know, I'm just curious. And so I guess you can leave those comments in the section below as for anyone who sees this video and feels that they love the game. So maybe, you know, perhaps people who just really don't care about the story and really care about the gameplay instead in their video games. That's completely understandable. More power to you. As for me though, I was really looking forward to this story. You know, I just was absolutely left disappointed. They just lost their way as to what made the first one really good. And that was the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Those were the Last of Us. They were the Last of Us. An unlikely pair featuring a father figure who lost his daughter and a young girl who lost her mother and also is immune to the fucking infection. And you have to remember that people who worked on this game didn't go home or pretty much work over the weekend in crunch time just so they can finish this game. Doesn't that leave a sour taste in your mouth?
I absolutely do not hope this game gets Game of the Year. I really hope it's Final Fantasy or anything else. Cyberpunk, not Last of Us Part 2. I would be pissed. I think this Game Awards, I'm gonna actually give a shit because I do not want this game to win the award for Game of the Year. It absolutely does not deserve the award. It could deserve the award for like all the technical shit, like the actors, the graphics, the technical design side of things, but the story, the writing, the story, fuck no, dude. Fuck no.
And will there be DLC? Nah. I think this game is done. I think it was done, planned to be one and done. I think they really wanted this dark story to be that, and nothing else to really kind of taint those waters, really. But it just doesn't matter. But anyway, I think there's going to be no DLC. I think the only thing that we'll see is the multiplayer. But I wouldn't be surprised if the multiplayer doesn't make it in there just because of how hated this game was by its fans. By the way, guys, Naughty Dog, they just blew it. They blew it. Absolutely. Now, I don't even know how they're going to do it in Part 3, if there is a Part 3, but, at this point, I don't care. Time can only tell. Let's see if Part 3 will come to our existence sometime in the future. We'll see. So anyways, that's my review on The Last of Us Part 2. If you guys have any comments, please do that in the comment section below. I'd love to see you guys how you feel about Last of Us Part 2. And also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Really helps out and really appreciate it, guys. That's the best way to help out every YouTube channel on this platform. And to wrap up this video, and this review in general, I leave you guys with these final words. For realsies. There's nothing wrong with what's told in the story. How it's told in a story is what can go wrong. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out. And not to mention with the guilty cards, they pulled the whole the pregnancy poll. They had the audacity to turn Joel into this cheap ass fucking revenge Okay, so here come the after credits bullshit here. So whoa. So here come the after credits bullshit here. You've seen me throw the game case to emphasize my disappointment with the game, right? And of course, naturally, you have to do a lot of takes, and this was the result here with the case. In one of the takes, it just completely broke off. You can totally tell with the hinges completely broken off that was holding this disc in the game. By the way, I had to say, what the hell is this with this data disc? You have a disc just dedicated to the data, the game data or whatever. What's the point in that? If when I put the disc in the game, it just automatically downloads the game anyway. So what the fuck is the point of this? I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. I don't know, that just boggles my mind personally for me. But the data disc, and then the second disc was the play disc, which is currently still in my system. But what's the point? Just have the play disc, put it in the fucking console, and then it'll just download the fucking game anyway. That's how it works with the other games. I don't fucking get it. This game fucking sucks. That's all I gotta say. But you know what? This is a game I'm looking forward to way more now, which is Ghost of Tsushima. And I'm pretty sure this game is gonna be sick. Way more fucking sick than this pile of fucking pretentious garbage. The gameplay is fine. But the story? No. I'm pretty sure this is going to be way more tolerable than this pile of crap. The Last of Us Part 2? I hope this is the last of it, honestly. They're just only going to wreck the story further. Kill off Ellie. I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Fuck it. Fuck it.